and he lies. He tells something, and then you go back and you see what he said, and it seems like the truth both times. He's so terrific.
Does anyone have any questions for Patty or for me? No? I have a question. No. Anybody?
Cher just dropped a verbal bomb on Trump, and Karoline, once America's beloved press secretary, now a full-on fury factory, completely lost it, like someone told her Starbucks ran out of pumpkin spice. So, what exactly did Cher say? And why is Karoline practically foaming at the mic? Buckle up. This political soap opera just went off the rails in the most entertaining way.
How the people were so desperate to pick this man, you know, this unbelievable narcissist who could change the face of our world if we let him. And the only thing that will save us is you.
It finally happened. Cher, the eternal queen of glitter, sky-high wigs, bedazzled jumpsuits, and Twitter takedowns so fiery they could melt steel beams, has spoken. And ever since, Donald Trump's combover hasn't known a moment of peace. The moment she unleashed her verbal flamethrower from somewhere deep in the bowels of Mar-a-Lago, Trump's ego folded like a lawn chair at a sumo wrestling match. You could practically hear his bronzer cracking under the weight of public humiliation. His spray tan might have filed for emotional distress. Cher didn't just clap back, she launched a glitter bomb straight into the heart of Trump's delicate pride.
Go find another job whose interests you align with. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. I think Governor Walz, unfortunately, is living a sad existence after his devastating defeat on November 5th. I'm shocked that he is speaking at nighttime. I thought his bedtime was much earlier. Caitlin, I'm not taking your follow-up. Philip, go ahead.
Cher didn't just call him out. Oh no. She launched a verbal disco ball of fury, spinning straight into the orange abyss that is Donald Trump's political career. It was a savage, no-holds-barred takedown that blindsided everyone, and who completely lost her mind like a Dollar Tree confetti cannon on New Year's Eve? Karoline Leavitt, Trump's press secretary and full-time MAGA hype woman, the walking, talking, Wi-Fi-enabled Trump bumper sticker. She started spewing out talking points with the kind of wild-eyed conviction that suggested her sole mission in life was to embody the Make America Great Again slogan, minus the self-awareness.
I'm now regret giving a question to the Associated Press. Thought you were making a face at my previous answer, so what's going on? It took me about a minute and a half to think of 5 things I did last week. I do 5 things in about 10 minutes. And I think it's insulting that you are trying to test my knowledge of economics. Thank you.
If you're enjoying this chaos, go ahead and subscribe. Meanwhile, Karoline did what Karoline does best. She hit the panic button and sprinted to every Fox affiliate she could find. Her mission? To convince America that the real victim here isn't the guy who stuffed classified documents into his sock drawer, but poor, misunderstood Donald Trump. Yes, that Donald, apparently now the tragic figure in a story where Cher, a woman in her 70s with a stronger fan base and better Wi-Fi than Karoline could ever hope for, simply spoke her mind. Karoline's goal was crystal clear: distract everyone from the absurdity of Trump's actions by painting him as a martyr. Classic deflection, Massachusetts GA edition.
I have to tell you something. If someone said that my daughter was a hot piece of ass, I would put my fist through his face. Someone who would bring down the country because he doesn't win does not deserve anything, deserves nothing. He deserves nothing. He does not deserve any kind of respect, loyalty. I don't think he has 2 moral fibers to rub together.
Meanwhile, Karoline's idea of a power move was to stage a full-blown meltdown on Newsmax, clutching a photo of Trump like it was some sacred relic, instead of a poorly lit promo shot from a defunct casino calendar. You could practically hear the photo's dignity whimper as it was sacrificed on the altar of prime-time hysteria. As she ranted, she declared Cher's words to be an attack on the American people, which, in MAGA speak, roughly translates to, "Someone hurt my boss's feelings, so now I have to scream about it on national television before retreating to my next truth social tantrum." It's the same playbook every time. Make a dramatic scene, toss around some buzzwords, and hope the outrage machine keeps spinning. Honestly, it's like watching a toddler throw a fit in the candy aisle, except in this case, the candy is made of recycled political rhetoric and a generous scoop of desperation. Karoline's logic? If you yell loud enough and wave that Trump photo like a magic wand, maybe people won't notice that your argument is as flimsy as the paper it's printed on.
Does the president feel that he was misled by his national security advisors, whoever it was that told him there was no classified information in there, now that he's seen these messages?
I've now been asked and answered this question 3 times by the both of you, and I've given you my answer. The president feels the same today as he did yesterday. Philip.
And on my follow-up on what you had just said.
Go ahead, Philip. Caitlin, I'm not taking your follow-up.
But let's rewind for a second, because Cher's glorious takedown didn't just appear out of thin air. It was sparked by, surprise, surprise, Trump doing what he does best, turning everything into a spectacle. This time, he was rambling on stage like a malfunctioning Alexa, cycling between gibberish and borderline incoherence. Somewhere between inventing entirely new syllables and confusing Iran with IKEA, he still managed to insult half the planet. And of course, in true Trump fashion, he made time to casually threaten civil war if he doesn't win the next election. Because nothing screams, "I love democracy," like promising to torch it if his tanning bed privileges are taken away. Classic Trump, right? It's like he's pulling random phrases out of a hat, flinging them at a wall, and hoping one sticks. And somehow, people still treat him like he's the visionary leader we've been waiting for. Honestly, it's just the same tired theatrics and delusion, repackaged in an even less shiny wrapper. He's trying to be a circus performer, but forgot his act, and someone lost the elephants.
I will be the greatest jobs president that God ever created. I tell you that.
Well, I have to admit that I appreciate your directness, and I will try and be as direct and honest with you as I possibly can be. I am positive that you are the most unattractive man I have ever met in my entire life.
Naturally, Cher had had enough. One tweet later, and it was like Mount Vesuvius erupted right over Trump Tower. Armed with all the sass of a seasoned diva and none of the legal baggage of a former president, Cher let it rip. She tore into Trump's so-called leadership like it was a clearance rack at Ross, unqualified, mislabeled, and probably covered in fake gold trim. Trump's camp was stunned. They're used to swatting away late-night comedians or bored journalists, not Cher. You can't discredit Cher. You can't call her a partisan hack. She's been side-eyeing presidents since Nixon and probably still has the receipts. You can't mock her appearance. She'll do it first and 10 times better. And you definitely can't out-tweet her. She was pioneering digital rage before Twitter was even a glimmer in Silicon Valley's eye. But don't worry, Karoline Leavitt was on standby, ready to spin this like a carnival ride operated by someone with no depth perception. According to her, Cher and her supporters were spreading hate and dividing America, which is rich, coming from the press secretary of the guy who literally tried to divide America with a Sharpie on a hurricane map.
The Democrat Party has been completely captivated by these far-left lunatics, and I'm not sure which Democrat on Capitol Hill is going to stand up and be the sensible voice, but I won't hold my breath, and best of luck to them if one chooses to stand up. They are enjoying their lowest approval rating ever because this is who they are trying to represent. These far-left activists who don't stand for anything. They only stand against Donald Trump, and they hate, as you just heard from that one individual who wished death upon the president.
You've got to hand it to Karoline. She's loyal, blindly loyal. The kind of loyalty usually reserved for golden retrievers and people desperately trying to hang on to a paycheck until the next indictment drops. She popped up on every channel she could find, clutching her pearls and screeching about celebrity elites, all while working for a man who literally lived in a gold tower and once tried to buy Greenland like it was a Groupon weekend getaway. Her defense of Trump was so wildly off base, it almost made you forget this is the same woman who once claimed he restored dignity to the White House. Dignity? Is that what we're calling the era when he held a press conference next to a Sharpie-altered hurricane map, suggested injecting disinfectant, and rage tweeted about toilets not flushing fast enough? To Karoline, Trump isn't just a man, he's a flawless demigod beamed down from Mount MAGA, despite being impeached twice. indicted more times than we can count, and more familiar with courtrooms than Sunday services. So when someone like Cher, who actually earned her place in American culture, calls him out, Karoline morphs into a malfunctioning bobblehead, furiously nodding, sputtering sound bites, and acting like someone just insulted her prized collection of MAGA-themed nail polish.
Thanks to President Trump, Americans are seeing the first price relief in years. The last inflation report showed the first consumer price decline in years, a decrease in energy prices, and real average hourly wage growth. President Trump is delivering on his promises to lower costs for American families and businesses. Prescription drug prices are down. Last month's drop in prescription drug prices was the largest ever recorded. And thanks to President Trump ending Joe Biden's reckless war on American energy, gasoline prices and energy prices.
Meanwhile, Cher's out here living like she's seen it all and isn't the slightest bit shaken. Cher doesn't do fear. While Trump hides behind his gold-plated insecurities and reposts self-written fan fiction on Truth Social, Cher walks into every room with decades of experience, unfiltered honesty, and zero tolerance for fascist cosplay. She doesn't need a posse, a lawyer, or a teleprompter. She's got a platform, a voice, and the kind of credibility you only earn after surviving the music industry and 0 interviews where Barbara Walters tried to make you cry. Trump, on the other hand, has Truth Social, a pyramid of unpaid legal bills, and a diet that consists entirely of chicken tenders and simmering resentment. Cher? She's everywhere Trump fears to tread. Reality, intelligence, decency, and the ability to finish a sentence without self-incrimination. While Trump spends his days rage-tweeting in all caps about windmills and toilets, Cher's busy calling out the entire Trump circus, from the ringmaster and his orange foundation to the clowns in MAGA hats juggling subpoenas. Cher doesn't tiptoe around the truth like Trump's lawyers do when asked, "Did your client attempt a coup?" She belts it out at full volume with backup vocals, pyrotechnics, and a dazzling spotlight.
Actually retarded, you're morally reprehensible, vulgar, insensitive, selfish, stupid, you have no taste, a lousy sense of humor, and you smell. You're not even interesting enough to make...
The Trump administration? A bad cover band of democracy. Meanwhile, Cher's out here doing sold-out shows, roasting them all with the precision of a true legend. She sees straight through Jared Kushner's haunted doll energy, Kellyanne Conway's unblinking gaslight routine, and J.D. Vance's sad, desperate impression of a sentient flagpin. And let's not forget Melania, who's been blinking in Morse code for 4 years straight, hoping someone, maybe even Cher, will decode the message. Cher doesn't need to plead the fifth. She's too busy taking names and turning Trump's fragile ego into performance art. Every time he opens his mouth to whine about witch hunts or how unfair it is that people expect him to read, Cher's there, metaphorically handing him a mirror and a thesaurus. And when a new indictment drops, like one of her platinum records, she's already a step ahead, live streaming herself laughing with the caption, "I told you."
In the short time we've been together, you have demonstrated every loathsome characteristic of the male personality and even discovered a few new ones. You are physically repulsive, intellectually retarded, you're morally reprehensible, vulgar, insensitive, selfish, stupid, you have no taste, a lousy sense of humor, and you smell.
She's the kind of woman Trump pretends doesn't exist. Confident, unapologetic, smarter than him, and completely uninterested in his gold-plated nonsense. And because Cher isn't scared of his power, his base, or his bootlicking entourage, she's the biggest threat to his carefully constructed fantasy where everyone either worships him or sues him. While Trump is busy yelling at clouds and confusing rallies with therapy sessions, Cher's trending for actually saying something worth listening to. She doesn't need to shout, "fake news," because she's been the real deal since before Trump knew how to spell campaign. In the great concert hall of American chaos, Cher isn't just the headline act. She's the encore that Trump never saw coming, having outlasted more presidents than most of us have had phones, and still managing to drop sharper takes than 99% of cable news. She saw Trump for what he is, an insecure con man with a megaphone, and she decided she wasn't having it. Her words hit Trump like logic hits a flat earther, loud, unwelcome, and fundamentally incompatible with their worldview.
And and he lies. He tells something, and then you go back and you see what he said, and it seems like the truth both times. He's so terrific at lying.
But the best part? This all happened during one of Trump's comeback weeks, where his team tries to make him look presidential by surrounding him with flags, old white men, and, inexplicably, Kid Rock. The last thing they needed was a pop culture legend throwing Molotov cocktails made of truth and eyeliner. Cher isn't afraid of Donald Trump, and that's exactly what terrifies him. She doesn't need a PAC, a legal team, or a carefully scripted teleprompter. She's armed with something far more dangerous, a voice that cuts through the noise, a platform she built herself, and the kind of credibility you only earn after surviving decades in the brutal, backstabbing world of the music industry. She's done 10,000 interviews where Barbara Walters tried to make her cry, and she walked out stronger every single time. Meanwhile, Trump is holed up on Truth Social, rage posting in all caps between bites of his resentment-flavored chicken tenders. One speaks truth to power, the other eats power with honey mustard. And that, my friends, is the real difference.